What's going on, math party people? Anderson here, your math coach. And as always, thank you for being here. Thank you for working hard. I got your back. So in the previous video, we went ahead and worked on adding and subtracting fractions. So now we're moving forward to multiplying fractions. And then after this, we'll have dividing fractions. So we're gonna go ahead and go over this. I'm gonna show you the regular way to do things. And I'm gonna show you a much easier way to do it, especially if you watched our video on how to simplify fractions. So the thing is, when you know how a certain idea in math works in and out, you'll see that a lot of these processes, you'll find so many shortcuts that you can use. So I'm going to show you the regular way again, the regular way to multiply fractions, and then the shortcut way that really anybody can do. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. And remember, if you haven't gone through the other concepts already, like simplifying fractions, like turning them from improper to mixed and vice versa and all those other ones, make sure to do those first. We want to build complete comfort with this. That way there's no stopping us from doing any of those word problems in the future. So here we go. We got our stuff going on right here. We have finding the product. Let's go ahead and zoom on in to this first problem. So here's the regular way. I'm going to show you two different ways to do this. I'm going to show you two different ways. Number one, I'm going to show you the straightforward. Okay? I'm going to show you the straightforward way. And then number two, I'm going to show you, it's not mental math per se, but it's very convenient, okay? It's operating off of convenience. So I'm not going to say convenience, I'm just going to tell you what it is. It's called simplifying first, okay? So here's the idea. So here's the first way. The regular way to multiply fractions is simply going to be multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators, and that's it. That's really going to be it, okay? So here we multiply the numerators. 11 times 4 is 44. And then over here we have 12 times 3, and that's going to be 36. Boom. So step one is just going to be, again, multiply straight across. And then step two is going to be to simplify. Now, when you check this out, you ask yourself, well, what do 44 and 36, what do they have in common? And so when you think about it, well, what do 44 and 36, what are they both divisible by? What's their common factor? And you might think 4. And if you said 4, you would be correct. You can divide them both by 4, right here and here. And what you would get is 44 divided by 4 is 11. And 36 divided by 4 is 9. And so your answer would be 11 over 9. And so notice what we just did here. Notice what we did. We multiplied, and then we simplified. But one thing that a lot of people really don't know is that, look, you can actually simplify before you multiply. This is actually the faster way to do things, and I'm excited to show you because, look, my party people, at the end of the day, I know that fractions aren't the easiest topic by far. They're not. But we can make it easier for ourselves, again, by really understanding how they work. So, watch this. Look at the 11, the 4 on top, and the 12 and the 3 on bottom. The idea comes from this, my party people. It comes from this. 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2, right? It doesn't matter what the order is that you multiply in. So understanding that, basically what I'm saying, my party people, is this. These are above these. Like, these are already together, and these are already together. So if we wanted to simplify, you can simplify this and this. Anything from the top and anything from the bottom, you can simplify when you're multiplying fractions. Because again, at the end of the day, 11 over 12 times 4 over 3, to be very frank with you, very honest with you, like this is where the idea comes from. 11 over 12 times 4 over 3, I'm just really excited about this. 11 over 12 times 4 over 3 is the same thing as saying 4 over 12 times 11 over 3. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. All I'm saying is, okay, 11 times 4 is the same as 4 times 11. 12 times 3, you can just write that the same way. But the idea is this. It's that you can simplify already right here, 4 and 12, you can divide them both by 4. And so you can turn this problem into 4 divided by 4 is 1, 12 divided by 4 is 3, and so you have 1/3 times 11 over 3. And when you do the math, 1 times 11 is 11, 3 times 3 is 9. And there you go. What I just did was the same process. At first, we multiplied and simplified. Here, we simplified, then multiplied. Now, why is that faster? Because if you simplify first, you're dealing with smaller numbers automatically. That's the great thing about it. And that's why I always recommend simplifying before you multiply when it comes to multiplying fractions. And again, simplifying if you can, if there is something to simplify. So here's the best way to see it. So take a quick second, go ahead and kind of like look at that, take a screenshot, take your notes. But I'm going to take this away and do it the way that I would do it from the very get-go. Here's exactly how I would do it. I would look at this and say, hey, we got a 4 on top, we have a 12 on bottom. These are both divisible by 4. So that's exactly what I'll do. Divide by 4, divide by 4. Whatever you do to the top, you do to the bottom. And so this problem turns into 11 over 3, because 12 divided by 4 is 3, multiplied by 4 divided by 4 is 1, and then you still have that 3 from before. So let me put the 1 right there, whoopsies, and then we still have the 3 on bottom. And so there we go. We simplified first, nothing else that we can simplify, and then we do our work. 11 times 1 is going to be 11, 3 times 3 is 9, and we're good to go. And so there it is, 11 over 9a, that's the answer, just like that. Now let's take a look at number 2. Look, let's be honest. If you want to go ahead and lower test anxiety, if you want to stop blanking out on word problems and actually understand how to use formulas instead of just memorizing them and not knowing what to do, then you need a program that's going to support you all the way. So a program that basically lets you text your coach whenever you need them, a program that allows you to go to classes and watch all the recordings, a program that gives you access to thousands of extra practice problems with video solutions, a program that gives you much more than that with practice tests, study guides, and more. That's exactly what you're going to need. Again, I'm Coach Anderson. Reach out to me, shoot me a text, or click the link in the video here to go ahead and learn about my ASVAB All-Access Program. It's everything my students use to raise their scores to get the jobs they want, so feel free to check it out so that way you can get in on the action too. I'll see you in there. And here's what we're going to do in this video, my party people. We're going to practice a couple of these easy ones, then we're going to go into the medium ones, and then we're going to go into the hard ones. The hard ones are going to include mixed numbers, negatives, all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and dive in. Number 2 here, we have 1/2 multiplied by 7/5. Now, again, if you can, try to simplify first. Is there anything to simplify? Does 2 go into 1 or 7? No. Does 5 go into 1 or 7? No. So then there's no simplification to be done. Just multiply straight up. We have 1 times 7, which is 7. 2 times 5, which is 10. And there's your answer. 7/10. 7/10, nice and easy. Now let's go ahead and get into number 3 here. Okay, this one here, we should be able to simplify something. We absolutely should. Because what I notice here is that, hey, 8 and 12 are both divisible by 4. So I'm going to simplify first to make my life easier. Come on, who wants to multiply 17 times 8? Who wants to do that? Nobody. So you don't have to. So if you can simplify, make your life easier. So here we're going to have ourselves 17 over 12 divided by 4, which is 3. And then 8 divided by 4, which is 2, right over here. And then we still have that 9 from earlier. Boom. And now, do we have anything else in common that we can basically factor out from the top and the bottom? Again, we're not doing left and right. No. It's the numerators and denominators. Is there something in common that they have? Not anymore. And so we have 17 times 2, which is actually fairly easy compared to 17 times 8, right? Pretty easy compared to 17 times 8. So what we have over here, my party people, is 17 times 2, which is 34. 3 times 9, which is 27. And there's the answer. The problem didn't ask us to turn it into a mixed number, so I'm not going to. Maybe later on, for sure, but right now, we're good. And so we'll do one more over here. So 2 times 1/2. So here's a case where a lot of people get confused because they don't see a fraction with the 2, right? A lot of people look at that and they say, well, what is that? Well, remember this. Here's the rule. Basically, long story short, when you're multiplying a whole number by a fraction, just multiply the whole number with the top. Multiply the whole number with the numerator. And let me show you exactly why that's the case. The reason that this is the case is because 2 is the same thing as 2 over 1, right? 2, any number is the same thing as that number divided by 1. Same thing. And so with that said, there we go. We can treat that like 2 over 1 times 1 over 2. That becomes 2 over 2. And 2 divided by 2, well, that is going to be 1. And there it is. So those are the first 4, but now we're going to move into the medium questions here, okay? Hopefully you're learning a lot, especially when it comes to whole numbers. Remember, when you're multiplying a fraction by a whole number, that whole number is just going to multiply with the numerator. That's it. So let's go ahead and take it down here. Let's look for some more complicated problems. I do believe that's going to start off at number 20. Let's see, is it starting here? I mean, we could do this one, but there's nothing in common here. So here, let's just actually do it. 21, yeah, we have 14 and over 15 times 4 over 9. So what you want to ask yourself is, do 14 and 15 have anything in common? No. Do 14 and 9 have anything in common? No. What about 4? Do 4 and 15 have anything in common? No. 4 and 9? No. So in this case, what I would do straight up is just multiply across and you're done. And that's it. You can't simplify, so you might as well just multiply. And so here, bam, 14 times 4, what's that going to be? Well, mental math says that multiplying by 4 is like multiplying by 2 twice, right? You know, you could obviously go ahead and say, hey, 14 times 4, do your thing, 16. 1 times 4 is 4, put the 1 there, 5, 56. You could absolutely say that. Or you can go ahead and just say, hey, 14 times 4 is the same thing as 14 times 2 and times 2 again. So 14 times 2 is 28. 28 times 2 is 56. Right there. Nice and easy. And so here, 15 times 9. You can do it again on the side if you'd like to, but I'm going to, again, stress mental math here. 15 times 9 is the same thing as 10 times 9 and 5 times 9, because 15 is 10 and 5. So 10 times 9 is 90. 5 times 9 is going to be 45. So 90 plus 45 is 135. And there we are. B is our answer, and we're all set. Now let's keep it going here. Again, I'm going to show you these awesome examples here. I want to make sure that you see this here. So 22, we have 4 over 7 multiplied by 9 over 8. Is there anything that we can simplify first? Yes, I absolutely see right here. I see that 4 and 8 have something in common. They both share a 4. Because over here, 4 divided by 4 is going to be 1. 8 divided by 4 is going to be 2. And so I can rewrite this multiplication not as 4 times 9 over 8 times 7. No, it's going to end up being literally 1 over 7 multiplied by 9 over 2. And so from there, knowing that there's nothing else that we can simplify, we're in the clear. We got this. We can just say, hey, 1 times 9 is 9, 7 times 2 is 14. We're done. We're done. If you would have multiplied it the regular way, you would have gotten 9 times 4, which is 36, 7 times 8, which is 56, and then you would have had to figure out, hey, what do 36 and 56 have in common? Then you would have spent all this time thinking about it, and that's the thing. The bigger the numbers are, the harder it is to actually simplify them. And so that's why it's so important to just simplify first and then multiply after. So with that said, my party people, let's go ahead and try out number 23. Hey, before we get to crushing this problem, just wanted to remind you about my ASVAB All-Access Program. So if you have test anxiety, if you blank out on word problems, if you're frustrated and can't keep a solid study schedule, then this program is there to support you. Long story short, you're going to be able to text me whenever you need help. You get all of the classes and the recording so you can work around your schedule whenever you need to. On top of that, you're going to get access to over 2,000 practice problems that let you learn from every mistake by watching video solutions to those math questions. Not like a textbook where you have to figure it out on your own. On top of that, there are way more features like practice tests, study guides, flashcard sets, all that good stuff. So go ahead, either text me or check out the link either somewhere here in this video or in the description. That way you can keep raising your score and get the job you want, because that's what you're here for at the end of the day. Again, I'm Coach Anderson. Check out the All-Access Program and sign up, and then keep going, watching this video so you can keep crushing it. I'll see you there. Okay, so 23 is a whole number, and so remember, when it comes to whole numbers, it's the same thing as just multiplying it to the numerator. Same thing. And if there's anything to be simplified, you can simplify it with the denominator. Because remember, again, 20 is the same thing as 20 over 1. And then that'll be multiplied by 4/3. So you see that you can multiply across with the numerators or simplify with the denominator with the numerator. Either way. But there's nothing to simplify because 20 and 3, they don't have anything in common. So I'm good. I'll just do 20 times 4, which is 80. And then we have 1 times 3, which is 3. 80 over 3. There's my answer. Nice and easy. And so let's get into 24 over here. Same deal, but watch this now. Notice that, again, we can treat this like 6 over 1. And what we have going on, my party people, is that 6 and 3 are both divisible by 3. And so what we end up having is 6 divided by 3 is 2 over 1 times 5 over 1. Oh, look at that. You have 2 over 1, which is the same thing as saying 2. 5 over 1, which is the same thing as saying 5. 2 times 5 is 10. And there's your answer. There's your answer, nice and easy. Again, dealing with fractions and multiplying, it's a process. It's a process. The rules are the same no matter what. You just have to make sure that you follow the rules no matter what kind of crazy situations you see. So allow me to go ahead and continue now to, let's go ahead and take a look at some harder questions here. Should be starting about right over here. Yeah. So let me make sure I don't start with negatives to start off. Let me see if I can get 2 positives. Let's see if I can find 2 positives real quick. Nope, looks like we're including all negatives with these. No worries. Yeah, they all include a negative. That's fine. So we'll go ahead and start off with this crazy mumbo jumbo over here with number 37. So this is the hard part here now. The only reason that this is hard is what? What do you think? We have a negative in there. Okay. We're going to follow the same rules because remember, we're multiplying. We're multiplying and we have negatives. That's the one thing. And the other thing, number 2, is that we're dealing with mixed numbers. Okay, so before you watch this video, hopefully you went through the mini lesson, the activity on how to turn mixed numbers into improper fractions. Hopefully you went over that because we're going to go over that right now. So how do we turn a mixed number into an improper fraction? Super easy. Super easy. What you're going to do is remember this. You're going to go ahead and take the whole number and you're going to multiply by the denominator and then you're going to add it back to the numerator. So the whole number is multiplied by the denominator because you're saying, hey, this is how many whole numbers we have. We have 3 whole numbers and 5 is the whole. So 3 times 5 is 15. Then you add it back. So again, follow along, pay attention, pay attention. 3 times 5 is 15. Then you add it back to the top and you get 17. And that's what you do. You multiply these together, then you add it back up top. So you're gonna have 17 over 5. And don't forget that negative. Don't forget that negative that we had in the front. And then we're going to multiply this. And again, don't forget that negative. And here what we're going to do is turn this again into an improper fraction. 2 times 8 is going to be 16. 16 plus 3. Again, you multiply here, you add here. So 16 plus 3 is going to give me 19 over 8. All right. So my party people, what do we do now? Well, what we do now is we're just going to go ahead and straight up multiply now. Now we're good. And notice that in this question, we're going to have to turn it back into a mixed number at the end. So good luck. So let's go ahead and get to it here. First of all, don't try to do too much at the same time. First, let's just worry about the signs. A negative times a negative, what's that going to be again? That's positive, right? Yeah, it's a positive. So we're going to have ourselves a positive number. And then the fraction is going to be what? Well, remember, ask yourself first. Is there anything we can simplify? Well, what I notice is that 17 is a prime number. 19, prime number. They're not going to have anything to do with the bottoms here. 17 can't go with 5 or the 8 over here. 19 has nothing to do with the 5 or the 8. They're prime numbers. They're only divisible by themselves. And so with that said, boom, we're good. Just multiply straight across. I'm going to do the 5 times the 8 first because that's going to be 40. That's pretty easy for me at least, hopefully. And then 17 times 19, how do we do that? Well, again, you can go ahead and multiply like you normally do. 17 times 19 like this. Or you can use mental math. With mental math, what I see is, well, if I'm multiplying by 19, that's pretty close to 20. So let me just do 17 times 20, which is going to be 340. Nice. And then from there, take away 17. Because I multiplied by 20 of those 17s. So let me go ahead and take one of those 17s away to make it 19. So with that, we have 340, 17 times 20. Take away one of those 17s, and you're going to have yourself what? You're going to have yourself 323. And again, that's with mental math. But if you don't believe me, don't worry. Watch it right here. I'll show you right here. Mental math works. It helps you do things faster. 7 times 9 is 63. 1 times 9 is going to be 9. Then the 9 plus the 6 is going to be 15. Now from here, what we're going to do, bring that 0 and then multiply again. 7 times 1, that's going to be 7. And then 1 times 1 is going to be 1. Add these up. 3. 5 plus 7 is 12. Then 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. Look at that. Look at that. Nice and easy, right? That's the thing, my party people. I want to show you how to be comfortable with this and how to get this done the right way. But what we have ourselves with now is we find ourselves with this, but we got to turn it into a mixed number. So remember, the way you turn an improper into a mixed number is you're going to say, hey, how many times does 40 go into 323? Well, 40 doesn't go into 3, doesn't go into 32, but it does go into 323. 40 goes into 320 8 times. And so we'll subtract the 320 because 40 times 8 is 320. And we have ourselves 3 left over. Booyah. And so with that said, remember, this right here is your whole number. So we have a whole number of 8 because it can divide into 323 8 whole times. And then we have the remainder right here. This is what remains. And so you keep a 3 over 40. And that's why C here would be the answer in that case. And so again, my party people, this one looked tough, but it's just a bunch of smaller steps put together. Multiplying with negatives. You have mixed numbers to improper fractions. You have multiplying fractions. Simplifying if you could. We didn't see that here, but if you could, we would simplify. And then we had to turn it back from an improper to a mixed. So you know at this point, you know all of those things, right? You know how to do all of those individually. Now what this does is it just brings them together. And that's what happens really on test day. It's a bunch of these things that you know individually that are going to be combined to test what you know. So let's go ahead and try out number 38 over here. Let's see what we got. So here we go. I have a negative number over here times a positive number. So I can tell you right now that this is going to end up being a negative result. My answer is going to be negative. And then from there, I'm going to deal with the actual multiplication. I got a mixed number right over here. I got a mixed number. I don't like that. I got to turn that into an improper. This 7 over 8 stays the same. So let's take care of business here. What's going to happen is we take the whole number, multiply by the denominator. 2 times 8, that's going to be 16. Then you add it to the numerator. 16 plus 3 is 19. So we have 19 over 8 times 7 over 8. From here, do we have anything that we can simplify before we actually multiply? Well, no, because 7's a prime number, doesn't share anything with the 8. 19 is also prime, doesn't share anything with the 8. So we're just going to straight up multiply and call it a day. So 19 times 7, what is that? Well, 20 times 7 is 140. So if I go back down to 19 times 7, you just take away one of those 7s. That's going to be 133. Don't believe me? You can do 19 times 7 right over here. 9 times 7, 63. 1 times 7 is 7. Plus 6, that's 1. That's going to be 13. 133. Mental math, it's king. Let's go. So next up, this one's easy. 8 times 8, that's 64. We're good. Now, notice our answers here. Notice our answers. And remember that we said that this answer would be negative. So that's going to be a negative 133 over 64. Now the next question is this. How do we turn this into a mixed number? Again, super easy. How many times does 64 go into 133? You can write this as division. And you know that 64 times 1 is just 64, but times 2. 60 times 2 is 120. 4 times 2 is 8, so 128. That would work. 128 is under 133, so that would be 2 here. Minus 128, you have a leftover of 5. So this here is your whole number. Here is your remainder. And so with that, what you end up having is 2 with a remainder of 5 over 64. And remember that the answer was going to be negative right over here. And so there we are. Negative 2 and 5 over 64. There's the answer. Booyah, my party people. Let's see if we can find another one here that hopefully we can find some that actually simplify when you do this. Let me see if there's anything here that I can notice. That's 17. No, that's not going to simplify. That's going to end up being 10. Nope, that won't simplify. I'm trying to find one that I know for a fact will simplify, my party people. So here, 15, 19, no. Let's see. 37. That's 21. No, that won't simplify. anything at all here, man. I'm looking for something that will simplify. There's a 5 there, and that's going to be an 8 there. Nope, that won't. Man, it looks like none of these want to simplify. This one will. Yeah, this one definitely will. So 45, let's try this one out, and then we'll call it a day. I'll let you go ahead, move forward, and try this one out with the worksheet if you're in the course. So here we go. First things first, let's turn this into a mixed number or improper fraction. It's mixed right now. Let's turn it improper. So we're going to do 1 times 2, which is 2. Add it back. 2 plus 1 is 3. So we have negative 3 over 2. Because again, 1.5 is the same as 3 over 2. So that should be making sense there. And then 10 is the same thing as 10 over 1. Okay, cool. Now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the negative times a positive here. Negative times a positive is going to remain negative. Then what I did notice is that 10 and 2, those are both divisible by 2. So with that said, let me go ahead and give myself an easier time. Because again, if I multiply straight up, that's 30 over 2, which will be 15, and that's cool. But what if you didn't know that? So that's why I'm saying, hey, simplify first to deal with smaller numbers. So 10 divided by 2, and then 2 divided by 2, what's that going to give us? Well, here, this would be the same thing as saying 3 over 1, because 2 divided by 2 is 1. And then 10 divided by 2 is 5, and we have that 1 right underneath it. Oh, that's pretty easy. 5 times 3, 15. And then over 1. 1 times 1 is 1, and so with that said, that's just going to be negative 15. Boom. Answer is C right there. And so my party people, look, at the end of the day, multiplying fractions, absolutely necessary to know, just like everything that we've been doing up to this point. But remember, the more complicated it looks, it's really not more complicated. Again, it's just a series of small steps being included in that process of solving. That's it. So that's why we've had this really nice progression here, from simplifying fractions to knowing how to convert them, improper and mixed, to looking at percents and decimals, to adding fractions, multiplying fractions, subtracting them. And then up next, we're going to be going over how to divide fractions. And some of party people, look, at the end of the day, we need to get better at the little things. Because if we do the little things right, the big thing takes care of itself. So again, I'm Coach Anderson, your math coach over here. As always, I'm happy to have you. Let's go ahead and move forward now. If you're in the course, go next to the next activity. You're going to have your worksheet, and you're going to have your speed drills to work on multiplying fractions. So get ready to get in there and have a great time. And then after that, move forward into dividing fractions. I'm happy to help you out, my party people. Let's get to it, and I'll see you in the next video.